Ultamize. Let me tell you something that feels completely wrong at first, but it turns out to be one of the most powerful things you can do. You need to repeat yourself a lot. Most people resist this immediately. They think, I don't want to say the same thing over and over. People will get bored. No, you're not boring people. You're clarifying your message. Let me show you what most people do instead. They record one video about an idea. Then they think, okay, done with that. And then they move on to a completely different subject, new topic, new idea, new direction. And then what happens? Nothing sticks. Not for them, not for their audience. Here's the bad version. I already talked about confidence. I need something new. So now you talk about productivity, then communication, then mindset, and everything stays shallow. Here's the better version. I'm going to explain this idea again, but differently. Now you're going deeper. Here's an example. Let's say your idea's confidence comes from repetition. First time you say it, confidence comes from doing something repeatedly. Simple, clear. Second time, people think confidence comes first, but it actually shows up after you've done something enough times that it feels familiar. Now it's expanded. Now, maybe a third way. Think about driving a car. The first time you did it, it felt unnatural. You're thinking, hands on 10 and 2, and check this mirror and check seatbelt. You're going through all these checklists. Now you don't even think about it. That's what repetition does. So now I've added an example. Same idea, better delivery, more clarity. Here's what's actually happening. The first time you say something, you're figuring it out. The second time, you're refining it. The third time, you're owning it. And somewhere along the line, it becomes natural. Now, let's look at the contrast. No repetition. You have 20 different ideas. None of them are fully developed. With repetition, you have 3, 4, maybe 5 strong ideas, and you can explain them clearly, naturally, and convincingly. Which one sounds like a better speaker, a more successful motivational speaker? Let me give you something very practical. Pick one idea, just one, and record 3 different versions of it, different wording, different examples, different stories, same core message. You'll feel the difference immediately. The third version may sound better than the first, not because you're smarter, but because you've worked through it. And here's the idea to install. Repetition creates clarity. Gary Vaynerchuk, very successful speaker, doesn't build himself out as a motivational speaker, but he does motivational speaking and gets hundreds of thousands of dollars a speech. He says sometimes people criticize him for repeating himself. Gary, you're saying the same thing. Be on social media. He says, you're right. I say it again and again and again because I believe it and it works. And most people won't follow what I say. So repetition creates clarity, not boredom in most cases, if it's a good message. Clarity, and clarity is what makes people listen. So don't run away from your ideas. Stay with them. Work them, refine them, give different examples, repeat them, because the people who sound the most natural are not the ones with the most ideas necessarily. They're the ones who have repeated the right ideas enough times in interesting, memorable ways. They're the ones who've repeated the right ideas enough times that they can say them simply. And that's what you're building.